How can I live without him? I just cannot listen to him singing. Any recording of his voice only makes me miss him more. I wish he could be standing right in front of me now. I'm missing him so much. Every day I feel like the walking dead. The walking dead.
For weeks now, Diran Lin and his wife Jigwe Du have been holed up in this small hotel room, adrift in a sea of grief. They cling to the memories of their only son, Jun Lin, the pride, they say, and biggest hope of their families back in China. His dream was to come to Canada for a new life. The brutal end of that dream has sent his parents spiraling, searching for answers, but finding only pain and anguish. This is a story of their love and their loss. I know you want to speak with us so you can tell us more about your son and tell us about what he was like. So please tell me about Junlin. Tell me about who he was and what you loved about your son.
Since he was a child, my son was very smart, soft-tempered, and a cute little boy. Everywhere we went, people would come up to him, pat him gently on his little head, and say, "Oh, what a cute boy." We lived in a remote area with no public transportation. His father put a little seat on his bicycle for Jun to sit in front of him, and I would sit behind. The three of us would head out together on one bike, happy, going along the dusty, bumpy village roads. We chatted a lot. Jun was such a curious boy. He never stopped thinking and asking questions. "What is this, Mommy? Can you tell me what is that, Daddy?" He was very eager to learn everything. We were poor with material things, but we were a happy family.
What do you remember about the day that your son told you he wanted to come to Canada? How did you feel about his decision that he wanted to come here to study?
I was extremely happy for him. I immediately jumped for joy. I said, "Oh, my dear boy, good for you. I am so proud of you." I knew going to Canada was his long-time dream. He wanted to improve his English. He was very curious about how people lived here. He did lots of research on the internet, was convinced that as a country of immigrants, Canada is a peaceful place. He told me not to worry about his safety. This was a very safe country for immigrants. As soon as he landed in Canada, he called me. "Mommy, I'm in Canada now, safe and sound." When he arrived in Montreal, he called me again. "Mommy, Montreal is so beautiful, a lot like Beijing. Don't worry, I'm fine." He used the webcam on his cell phone to give me a tour of his room and the places outside of his apartment. "Mommy, look, this is the Montreal subway. Look, this is our street." He kept telling me, "Mommy, there is nothing to worry about. This is a very safe city."
Hi, and thank you for joining me. Very quickly, before we get into today's video, the word in Romanian for today is alb. Alb. A-L-B. Well done, guys. You just said white. Alb in Romanian is white. Oh, today's video is going to be something. So from the get-go, I'm going to give you a warning. We are talking about instances of someone eating another person, for lack of a better word, because I'm really worried about YouTube, so I'm hoping you can understand. And there are also some horrendous acts after death and violence, so if this is something that triggers you, then by all means you are more than welcome to stop watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. And also, my usual disclaimer, I don't mean any disrespect to anyone I talk about in the video. This video is for educational purposes only, and all the information I'm giving you is already found in the public domain. And I will also be sharing my own views and opinions around the case. Thank you so much. So, is everyone ready? Okay, because I'm not so sure that I am ready, but let's give it a go. In 2007, an arrogant, smirking young man auditioned on camera for a Canadian reality TV show called COVERGuy. Posing topless and saying that a lot of people tell me I'm devastatingly good looking, he seemed unfazed when the judges criticized him for being too skinny for the modeling competition. This guy looked like just another vain celebrity wannabe. This guy was Luka Magnotta, and his name would become notorious after he was discovered to be a cat killer, a murderer, a necrophile, and a cannibal. It wasn't only his brutality and sadism which would astound the media, but also his own hyping of the crimes with the help of the internet. Driven by a toxic craving for fame, he worked passionately, madly to create his own legend in the digital realm, in the age of the internet, celebrities and influencers. So get ready, guys. Like I said, this one is gruesome, brutal, and truly, truly horrific. And again, I'm going to give you the last warning. This video contains instances of where I talk about animal cruelty, necrophilia, and cannibalism. Born Eric Clinton Kirk Newman on 24th of July 1982 in Scarborough, Ontario, he had a rocky and painful upbringing, very similar to so many others who kill. He was born to Anna Yorkin and Donald Newman, and he was the first of their 3 children. His father was diagnosed schizophrenic in 1994, and his mother, according to Eric, was a paranoid germaphobe who would force him to wash his hands until his skin was raw. She was obsessed with cleanliness. She would routinely lock her children out of the house, and she once put her children's pet rabbits outside in the winter where they froze to death. After being diagnosed with schizophrenia in 1994, Eric's parents, Anna and Donald, divorced. Eric then went to live with his grandmother Phyllis. He attended I.E. Weldon Secondary School in Lindsay, Canada. Eric was also bullied at school for being gay, and he found comfort in his own imagination, developing a particular obsessive liking with Marilyn Monroe. His psychiatrist later wrote, quote, "When he was younger, he felt quite ugly, and when imagining himself being beautiful like her, he felt better," end of quote. This search to be beautiful, to be adored, and to be a legend in his lifetime became the driving force in his life as he got older. In 2003, Eric began to appear in pornographic videos, occasionally working as a stripper and an escort. He appeared as a pin-up model in a 2005 issue of Toronto's Fab magazine using the pseudonym Jimmy. In 2007, he was an unsuccessful competitor in Out TV's reality series COVERGuy. He had quite a few cosmetic surgeries, and he even auditioned for the Slice Network TV show Plastic Makes Perfect in February 2008. In 2005, Eric was convicted of 1 count of impersonation and 3 counts of fraud against retailers Sears Canada, The Brick, and 2001 audio video after impersonating a woman to apply for a credit card and purchasing over $10,000 worth of goods. He pleaded guilty and he received a 9-month conditional sentence with 12 months of probation. The judge in that case recognized how close Eric was to a mental breakdown, saying, quote, "You have got a medical problem and you need to always take medication. If you do not, your life is going to get messed up." End of quote. Eric legally changed his name from Eric Clinton Kirk Newman to Luka Magnotta on August 12, 2006. He declared bankruptcy in March 2007, owing $17,000 in various debts. The bankruptcy was fully discharged in December 2007. Despite seeing psychiatrists and taking medication, Eric, by now calling himself Luka because he wanted to feel more Italian and less like white trash, was spiraling out of control. He created many profiles on various social media platforms and discussion forums over several years to plant a variety of claims about himself. One such rumor emerged in 2007, claiming that he was in a relationship with Karla Homolka, a high-profile Canadian convicted murderer, which he denied in a later interview with the Toronto Sun. Eric repeatedly denied the claims that he was the one planting these stories, saying that they were hoaxes and part of a campaign of cyberstalking against him. Police stated that Eric set up at least, wait for it guys, at least 70 Facebook pages and 20 websites under different names. And honestly, I am kind of struggling to understand how exactly can you manage 70 Facebook pages and 20 websites. How do you manage? Because I am struggling to manage 2 social media accounts. How do you do it? How do you even do it? In 2010, a video called "One Boy, Two Kittens" was posted online. The film showed a man suffocating 2 kittens to death using a plastic bag and a vacuum cleaner. The video triggered a frenzy of online detective work as animal lovers around the world joined forces on social media to work out who this homicidal sadist was. As one member of the community later said in an interview, quote, "There is this unwritten rule of the internet. It's called Rule 0, and it's you don't mess with cats." End of quote. The online detectives were eventually sent an online tip which led them to identify Luka Magnotta, who by this time used the power of social media to carefully create kind of an A-list alternative version of himself. A mysterious fan page on YouTube featured video montages of his photos. A poster on a Flickr page asked if it was true that Luka and River Phoenix, a well-known actor, were cousins. Rumors spread around that Luka dated celebrities. It later turned out that Eric himself was posting all of these messages using dozens of false aliases online. The online detectives were quite shocked by all this strange online buzz around their prime suspect. Having seen that Eric previously worked in the adult industry, some of the online detectives came up with a sting operation to draw him out. The idea was to invite Eric to star in a porn film, then perform a citizen's arrest when he turned up. They even managed to get Ron Jeremy on board for a while before the porn legend got cold feet and backed out. Eric continued to evade capture, and more horrific videos were later posted, including one showing a kitten being fed to a python. Then, in 2012, Eric did what many of the online detectives always feared. He escalated from animals to humans. The victim was Chinese student Lin Jun, also known as Justin Lin, who came to study in Montreal. Lin Jun was born on December 30th, 1978. He was an international student from Wuhan, China, and an undergraduate in the engineering and computer science faculty at Concordia University in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Justin was studying in Montreal since July 2011. Previously attending Kirk College, a language school, and he worked part-time as a convenience store clerk in Point St. Charles. He moved into a Griffintown area apartment with a roommate on May the 1st, 2012. Lynn was last seen on May 24th, 2012, and his friends reported getting a text message from his phone at 9 p.m. His boss became suspicious when he didn't show up for his shift the next day. 3 of his friends went into his apartment on May 27th, and without any trace of him, he was then reported missing to police on May 29th. On May 25th, just a couple of days before he's reported missing in 2012, an 11-minute video titled "One Lunatic, One I Speak" was uploaded to bestgore.com, depicting a naked male tied to a bed frame being repeatedly stabbed with an ice pick and a kitchen knife, then dismembered, followed by acts of necrophilia. The killer used a knife and fork to cut off some of the flesh and got a dog to chew on the body, which I believe was his dog. During the video, the 1987 New Order song True Faith played in the background, and the poster for the 1942 film Casablanca was visible on the wall. Canadian authorities obtained a more extensive version of the video and said that cannibalism may have been performed. Materials promoting the video appeared online 10 days before the murder even took place. Several hours after killing Lynn, Eric booked a round-trip ticket for a flight from Montreal to Paris, using a passport with his own name. On May 26, 2012, an attorney from Montana attempted to report the video to Toronto police, his local sheriff, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation, but the report was dismissed by officials. Best Gore viewers also attempted to report the video. Police later confirmed it as being authentic and identified the victim, an Asian male, as the same individual whose body parts were sent to Ottawa. At 11 a.m. on May 29, 2012, a package containing a left foot was delivered to the national headquarters of the Conservative Party of Canada. The package was stained with blood, had a foul smell, and was marked with a red heart symbol. Another package containing a left hand was intercepted in a Canada Post processing facility addressed to the Liberal Party. A janitor discovered a decomposing torso inside a suitcase left in a garbage pile in the alley behind an apartment building in the Snowdon area of Montreal. He first saw the suitcase on May 25th, but it wasn't picked up due to the large amount of garbage on that day. After searching the scene, police recovered human remains, clothes, and papers identifying the suspect, as well as sharp and blunt objects from the back alley. Footage from surveillance cameras inside the building showed the suspect bringing numerous garbage bags outside, and the images matched the suspect who was captured on video at the post office in Côte-d'Eney. At 11:33 p.m., police searched the apartment Eric was renting on Decatur Boulevard. He moved in 4 months prior, and his rent was paid up to June the 1st. The apartment was mostly emptied before he left. The police found blood on different items, including the mattress, the refrigerator, the table, and the bathtub. Quote, "If you don't like the reflection, don't look in the mirror. I don't care." End of quote. This was written in red ink on the inside of a closet. On May 30th, 2012, it was confirmed that the body parts belonged to the same individual, later identified as Lin Jun. The suspect in the case was quickly identified as Eric, who had by then fled. A note was found in the package sent to the Conservative Party saying 6 body parts had been distributed and that the perpetrator would kill again. The other 3 packages also contained notes, but their contents were undisclosed by the police, who cited their concerns about possible copycat crimes. On June the 5th, 2012, a package containing a right foot was delivered to St. George's School, and another package containing a right hand to Falls Creek Elementary School in Vancouver, British Columbia. It was confirmed that both packages were sent from Montreal. I mean, I get it that you are trying to make a statement to send all these body parts to different political parties, but come on, a school? Seriously, what's the point of that? On June 13, 2012, the 4 limbs and the torso were matched to Jun Lin using DNA samples from Jun Lin's family. On July the 1st, his head was recovered at the edge of a small lake in Montreal Agrignon Park after police received an anonymous tip. An arrest warrant for Eric was issued by the Service de Police de la Ville de Montréal, SPVM, later upgraded to a Canada-wide warrant by the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, accusing him of the following crimes: first-degree murder, committing an indignity to a dead body, publishing obscene material, mailing obscene, indecent, immoral, or scurrilous material, and criminally harassing Canadian Prime Minister Stephen Harper and several unnamed members of Parliament. On May 31, 2012, Interpol issued a red notice for Eric at the request of Canadian authorities, and for several days before and after his arrest, his name and photo were displayed at the top of the homepage of the Interpol website. The red notice requested that Eric be provisionally arrested pending extradition back to Canada by any Interpol member state. Prior to the red notice, Eric booked a round-trip ticket for a flight from Montreal to Paris, France, on May 25th, using a passport with his own name. After his arrival in France, his cell phone signal was traced to a hotel in Bagnolet, but he left by the time police arrived. Police searched the room and they found pornographic magazines and an air sickness bag. Eric used a false passport with the name Kirk to check in at the hotel. He had contacts in Paris from a previous visit in 2010, and police were following a large framed man who was in contact with Eric. Another man he stayed with for 2 nights didn't realize who Eric was until he left. Eric then boarded a Eurolines bus at the Bagnolet coach station bound for Berlin, Germany. On June 4, 2012, Eric Newman, or Luka Magnotta, was finally caught by Berlin police at an internet cafe in the Neukölln district while reading news stories about himself, of course. He tried giving fake names before admitting who he was. However, his identity was confirmed through fingerprint evidence. He appeared in a Berlin court on June 5, 2012, and according to German officials, he didn't oppose his extradition. There was sufficient evidence to keep him in custody until extradition, and he agreed to a simplified process. On June 18, 2012, Eric was delivered to Canadian authorities in Berlin and flown aboard a Royal Canadian Air Force CC-150 Polaris to Mirabel International Airport, north of Montreal. A military transport was reported by the government to be necessary due to safety concerns with using a commercial flight and potential legal difficulties if the plane was, to say, diverted to another country. He was placed into solitary confinement at the Rivière des Prairies detention center. At this point, reactions in China were highly critical, with some believing that the murder was racially motivated, and some Chinese questioned public safety in Canada, as the killing was the second high-profile murder of a Chinese student there in slightly over a year. Foreign Affairs Minister John Baird called Chinese Ambassador Junsai Zhang to convey his condolences. On June 4, 2012, Canadian Prime Minister Stephen Harper said that he was pleased that the suspect was arrested and congratulated the police forces on their good work in apprehending him. Interim Liberal Party leader Bob Rae said that Canadians should mourn the victim rather than in any way, shape or form celebrate Eric's notoriety. 2 days later, Lin Jun's family arrived at Trudeau Airport in Montreal. The Chinese Students and Scholars Association of Concordia University created a fund to help with expenses by Jun Lin's family while in Canada, and an award was created in Lin's honor. Eric was named Oh my god, I can't even believe I'm saying this. Eric was named Canadian Newsmaker of the Year by the Canadian press, which caused controversy. And that's not even surprising, is it? I mean, you have the Liberal Party leader on one hand saying don't celebrate Eric's notoriety, but then you have a news article naming a killer the Newsmaker of the Year. Which I might add kind of gave Eric everything that he was looking for at this point: attention, fame and notoriety. He was on the front pages and he got exactly what he wanted. I can't understand for the life of me how is it okay for news outlets to glamorize a killer. Most of the times they give more space to the killer and not enough to the victim. I am honestly just, speechless. But hey, I guess that notoriety sells, right? When it's money, it's money. Lin Jun's body was cremated on July 11th and his ashes were buried on July 26th at Notre Dame des Nez Cemetery in Montreal. And before I carry on, I realized that I am not pronouncing the names right, and I'm not doing that because they are French. And I never liked French, no offense to anyone, no offense to the language or the country. It's just that I just couldn't learn it properly when I learned French in school. I mean, me and my sister were the best at French in our class, but for some reason, I don't know anything. I don't even know how to pronounce it. So I guess I want to apologize. I'm pronouncing the names wrong in French because I just don't know how to pronounce them. On July 16th, 2013, Edmonton police charged bestgore.com owner Mark Marek with corrupting public morals, a rarely used obscenity charge for hosting the One Lunatic, One I Speak video online, and on January 25, 2016, Marek changed his plea to guilty, and he was sentenced to a 6-month conditional sentence after a joint submission from the Crown and the defense. He had to serve half of the 6-month sentence under house arrest. On June 19, 2012, Eric appeared in court by video link to plead not guilty to all charges through his lawyer. Then on June 21st, he appeared in person at a high-security Montreal courtroom to request a trial by jury. A preliminary hearing began on March 11, 2013. Eric's defense team requested the media and the public to be barred entirely from the hearing, which was declined the next day. Lin Jun's father, Diran Lin, traveled from China to attend the hearing. Then, on March 13, one of Eric's lawyers resigned due to a possible conflict of interest. During the trial, expert witnesses testified, including a forensic pathologist, a forensic toxicologist, a forensic odontologist, a blood stain analyst, data recovery specialist, and an internet investigation officer. The prosecution also displayed video evidence, and during the proceedings, both Eric and Lin's father physically collapsed at separate times. On 12th of April 2013, Eric was indicted on charges of first-degree murder, offering indignities to a human body, distributing obscene materials, using the postal service to distribute obscene materials, and criminal harassment. Eric chose to be tried by a judge and a jury. He pleaded not guilty, admitting to the acts that he was accused of, but with diminished responsibility due to mental disorders. Crown attorney Louis Boutillier made his opening statement on September 29, 2014. Quebec Superior Court Justice Guy Cournauer presided over the trial, which lasted 10 weeks. On the opening day, he instructed jurors that Eric admits the acts or the conducts underlying the crime for which he is charged. Your task will be to determine whether he committed the 5 offenses with the required state of mind for each offense. 6 tools, a pair of scissors, 2 knives, a screwdriver, an oscillating saw, and a hammer were recovered outside Eric's apartment and analyzed by ballistics expert Gilbert Desjardins. He said that none could be definitively linked to the killing and that no skeletal marks suggested the screwdriver or scissors were used, but some were consistent with saw and knife or ex acto blade injuries. During the trial, defense attorney Luke Leclerc argued that Eric was in a psychotic state at the time of the crimes and could not be held responsible for his actions. The Crown prosecutor argued that the murder of Jun Lin was organized and premeditated and that Eric was purposeful, mindful, ultra-organized and ultimately responsible for his actions. Eric told the psychiatrist who interviewed him about the night that he killed Lin that a person named Manny was there urging him to kill. It was then determined that this name and the fake name that Eric used, Trammell, were inspired by Sharon Stone's fictional character Catherine Trammell in the movie Basic Instinct and the character's fiancé Manny Vasquez. Eric chose not to testify during his trial. After a 12-week trial, which included 10 weeks of hearing testimony, the jury of 8 women and 4 men received final instructions from the trial judge on December 15, 2014, and was sequestered before beginning its deliberations the next day. On their 8th day of deliberation, they returned a verdict of guilty on all charges. Eric will serve a mandatory life sentence and will be eligible for parole after 25 years. He was also sentenced to 19 years for other charges to be served concurrently. Eric filed an appeal for the convictions to be overturned and a new trial ordered. The appeal was filed with the Quebec Court of Appeal by Eric's defense counsel Luke Leclerc, citing judicial error in jury instruction. The appeal further claimed that the verdicts are unreasonable and unsupported by the evidence and the instructions. I don't know what other evidence you need. He confessed to what he did. Eric decided to then withdraw his appeal on February 18, 2015. During his trial for murder, defense witnesses provided evidence that Eric had been diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia as a teenager. Defense expert Dr. Joel Watts testified that Eric showed signs of episodic schizophrenia, undifferentiated type, histrionic personality disorder, borderline personality traits, and paraphilia. Paraphilias are persistent and recurrent sensual interests, urges, fantasies, or behaviors of marked intensity involving objects, activities, or even situations that are atypical in nature. Paraphilia is previously known as sensual perversion and sensual deviation. The prosecution revealed that Eric was using illegal drugs during his teenage years, which led to symptoms that mimicked schizophrenia, and that Eric had been diagnosed with borderline personality disorder by Crown expert Dr. Joel Paris at Jewish General Hospital in Montreal in April 2012. Dr. René Roy, the forensic psychiatrist who treated Eric at Rivière des Prairies Detention Center since November 2012, through his preliminary hearing and right up to the murder trial, diagnosed Eric with borderline personality disorder with histrionic features. Dr. Gilles Chamberlain, another Crown expert who was not able to interview Eric, suggested that he showed signs of antisocial, histrionic, and narcissistic personality disorders. He testified that Eric's actions at the time of the murder were best explained by histrionic personality disorder. The prosecution accused Eric of pretending to be schizophrenic since his defense pleaded diminished responsibility due to alleged schizophrenia, and noted that a number of psychiatrists over the years found that Eric displayed antisocial, borderline, histrionic, and narcissistic personality traits. Eric is alleged to be the person behind a series of videos of animal cruelty involving cats, which were posted to YouTube beginning in 2010, including one which I mentioned earlier in the video titled "One Boy, Two Kittens," which showed a man deliberately suffocating 2 kittens in a plastic bag with a vacuum cleaner. In January 2011, a private Facebook group identified Eric as the person in these videos. Animal rights activist groups offered a $5,000 reward for bringing him to justice. He was initially nicknamed the Vacuum Kitten Killer by the online animal activists. In February 2011, Toronto police began investigating him in connection with the videos, after receiving a complaint from the Ontario Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. The OSPCA also contacted the Royal Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals in Britain, the American FBI, and police in Montreal due to the suspect's extensive travels. On June 8, 2012, the Los Angeles Police Department announced that they were in contact with Montreal police to determine if Eric was involved in the then unsolved murder and decapitation of Harvey Madeline, known as the Hollywood sign murder, but later announced they didn't believe that he was involved in the crime. The animal rights group Last Chance for Animals claimed responsibility for posting YouTube videos linking Eric to the Hollywood sign murder in an attempt to lure Eric into contacting them. Last Chance for Animals group offered a $7,500 reward for information leading to his arrest while he was on the run. On November 16, 2015, Gabriel Campos Martinez was sentenced to 25 years to life for that murder. Eric was also investigated for possible links to the 2010-2017 Toronto serial homicides, although this lead was eventually abandoned for lack of evidence. The murder of June Lin and the following trial drew comparisons across North America to Mark Twitchell, a convicted murderer inspired by Dexter, who used social media in his crimes and to self-promote his work. Author Steve Lilben, who wrote a book on the case, described a new trend in crime where social media allows killers to become online broadcasters and have direct, instant access to a global audience that they may crave. Netflix produced a 3-part documentary series on Eric and a group of people on the internet who helped track him down. The show, titled Don't F with Cats, Hunting an Internet Killer, and directed by Mark Lewis, premiered on December 18, 2019. In killing Lin Jun, Eric followed his usual MO, as with killing the animals. He set up the killing as a ritual for the camera. A video dropped online under the grisly title One Lunatic, One Ice Pick. The video showed the student tied to a bed and then repeatedly stabbed by Eric. The killer filmed himself dismembering Lin before having sex with the corpse and even consuming some of the flesh. As a grotesque finale, Eric posted various body parts to schools and the headquarters of political parties in Canada. Just as grotesque was also the fact that Eric hyped up the killing before it even happened. Several days before June's death, anonymous messages were posted on various online forums asking about a mysterious video called One Lunatic, One Ice Pick. Eric was attempting to mythologize his future crime, to enshrine his yet-to-be-made video as a kind of tantalizing urban legend of the social media age. If it was infamy that Eric was after, he definitely found it, because Eric became the focus of an international manhunt, eventually apprehended in a Berlin cybercafe where, fittingly enough, he was browsing for the latest news stories about himself. After the trial in 2014, he was sentenced to life with no eligibility for parole for 25 years. In a latest update, convicted killer Luka Magnotta, or Eric, is taking the federal government to court to compel his transfer out of a maximum security prison in Quebec to a medium security facility. In documents filed in federal court in January 2022, just a few months ago, Eric's lawyer says the Correctional Service of Canada in June denied his request for a transfer from the maximum security Port Cartier institution on Quebec's North Shore, but has yet to rule on a grievance he filed over the decision. The application says that Eric was told a decision on the grievance wouldn't be made until May 2022. even though the Corrections and Release Act requires an efficient and expeditious, which I don't know how to pronounce, grievance procedure. Is still not known about the final decision. His application demands the service release all documents related to the grievance. At trial, he admitted to the killing but claimed that he was not criminally responsible due to a mental disorder. Eric's mother, Anna Yorkin, wrote a book about him in 2018 called My Son, the Killer, which cast even more attention to Eric, just like what he wanted. Lin Jun was a 33-year-old international undergraduate student from Wuhan, China. He moved to Montreal in 2010 to study engineering and computer science at Concordia University. Online detectives featured in Don't F with Cats, Hunting an Internet Killer, believe that Eric lured Lin to his apartment with a Craigslist personal ad in which he said he wanted to make a fun movie. While Lin met up with Eric in 2012, they couldn't have been any less alike. Lin's friends describe Lin as positive and genuine, a stark contrast to his killer. Benjamin Su, who called himself Lin's best friend in the docuseries, said that Lin was reliable and he would always let his closest friends know if he was going out of town. He was also reserved and shy. Lin was gay but not openly gay, and this drew him to Canada because of the country's reputation as a more liberal and accepting place, according to his best friend. Lin's family pressured him to marry a woman. However, he did have a boyfriend, Lin Feng, but they broke up just weeks before his murder. Quote, his family was not aware that he was gay. That's why he was trying to date a girl, Feng testified at Eric's trial, according to the CBC. Feng said that Lin was in a relationship with a woman in the past, which resulted in them separating. Lin also had a cat that he really loved. In fact, friends say that his cat was like his baby. Lin's friends described him as hardworking, and while studying, he worked part-time as a corner store cashier. Not only that, but between juggling school and work, he also took French classes. In an impact statement read before the court after Eric was found guilty of murdering Lin, Eric's father, Diran Lin, called him his brave son, smart son, laughing son, caring son, adventurous son, handsome son, strong son, popular son. In his statement, he said that his son wanted to stay in Canada to start his own business, a dream that he would never be able to accomplish. Quote, I live each day with regret that all I now see available here will never be his, that his name will only be associated with a horrible, degrading crime, the grieving father said. It causes me fresh pain to know that my son's legacy is to be remembered as a victim. He not only suffered in his murder, but will be humiliated for each time his name is mentioned. And it hurts me deeply and will hurt me forever. End of quote. Back in 2012, Eric allegedly posted an advertisement to Craigslist looking for kinky sex and bondage with another man. Lin responded to the ad and met up with Eric at his apartment late on the evening of May 24th. There is security footage of the two coming into the building, and this is the last recorded imagery of Lin alive, apart from Eric's horrendous home video of the murder. The footage that follows shows the Canadian killer disposing of his victim remains in several different garbage bins. And I have watched quite a big portion of the CCTV footage, and it's quite astonishing to see Eric so casually just taking various pieces of clothing and objects and various things and just chucking them in the apartment's building, what seems like to be the laundry area. And in the same building, he was in the same building, and he does this until the early hours of the morning, until 5 a.m. Then around 6 a.m. I suppose that it was the janitor who emptied those bins and took them out of the building. Later on, you can see that those trash bags seem quite heavy as Eric is getting out of the building to dispose of them. He seems to be struggling with the weight of these garbage bags. During the trial for Lynn's murder, the ex-boyfriend testified that Lynn felt some pressure from his family to date a girl so that he could eventually settle down and get married. Lynn sent a text message to his ex on the evening of May 24th to say good morning, as his ex would have just been starting his day at the time. And that was the last text that Lynn ever sent. Like I already mentioned, Lynn moved to Canada back in 2010 to study, and even though Lynn was initially excited to be in a new country, he also felt a lot of loneliness. Quote, "That is what I remember about him. He was in computers and he was looking for love." One of Lynn's classmates, Alexandra Afanas, told the Globe and Mail. June Lynn split from his partner shortly before his killing because of the pressure from his family to marry a woman. Fang Lin testified that he and Lynn were in a relationship from late 2010 until mid-May 2012. Fang Lin, the 35-year-old software company manager, traveled from China to testify at Eric's trial. Quote, "He was experiencing some pressure from his family and he was kind of obliged to go into a relationship with a girl for an eventual marriage," Fang said in response to a question from Crown Prosecutor Louis Boutillier. Fang Lin described June Lin as a fitness buff who didn't smoke, drink or do drugs and who would go to the gym up to 4 times a week. He said that they were faithful to each other and that he loved June Lin. Their sexual relationship was normal and they were not very interested in pornography. Asked whether they were into bondage, he replied through a Mandarin translator, "Absolutely not." He said he knew that June Lin used Grindr, which is a gay male social networking app where people can meet others. Now, here comes the disgusting bit. I always find this horrific, but I guess that lawyers kind of need to do their job, right? In cross-examining Fang Lin, defense lawyer Luke Leclerc tried to paint Lin Jun as a sexually promiscuous individual with a keen interest in S&M videos and who posted dark messages on a Chinese social media site. Leclerc suggested that Fang Lin didn't know his partner very well. He referred to internet logs from June Lin's computer that showed he downloaded a number of hardcore gay videos. Confronted with stills from one of the movies, Fang Lin asked the judge at one point if it was necessary for him to view the graphic images. Leclerc then confronted the witness with Skype and other online chats that suggested June Lin had sex in person with a number of different men after the breakup of their relationship, which I don't understand why the questioning, because it was after their breakup. Quote, "We had split up all that time already, so he had all his freedom," Fang Lin said. He said that he knew June Lin had been previously married and was divorced. When they lived together, Fang Lin paid the rent and some of June's meals. While he met June Lin's parents, they never revealed any details of their relationship to his parents. Fang Lin's parents were aware and they accepted this. Fang Lin, who has permanent resident status in Canada, left the country to return to China for the summer on May 13, 2012. He testified that they remained friends when the relationship ended and he texted June Lin up to 50 times a day, with June's last message coming on May 24th, 2012. That was the day friends last saw the Concordia University student. Quote, "He was saying good morning to me because it was a time when I just woke up," Fang Lin said. Messages then sent by Fang Lin over the next several days went unanswered. Quote, "I sent him a text message and seeing there was no return on his part, I then sent him several others, but these several others were not opened and not read," he said. Fang Lin decided to return to Canada early. Quote, "I did see on the internet there was the discovery of a body, but it didn't cross my mind," he said. While in transit, he was told by a friend about the appearance of an online video that appeared to show June Lin's body. Quote, Only when I arrived in Montreal did I look at the first part of the video, Franklin said. But he testified he didn't believe it was June Lin. Prosecution lawyer Boutillier told the 8 female and 6 male jurors he intends to prove that Eric planned the killing. He said that the evidence will show the accused killed Lin, dismembered his corpse, and sent his hands and feet by mail to Ottawa and Vancouver. Police and forensic witnesses testified on material found in Eric's apartment and on the disturbing contents of parcels sent by mail to Ottawa and Vancouver. Montreal police forensic investigator Chantal Thermal told the court she was dispatched to Eric's apartment after a video was posted online showing a naked man being dismembered and his torso being sodomized. Her photos of the scene shown to the jury also showed red splotches on the bathroom sink, tub and floor, and inside both the fridge and the freezer. Quote, "When we removed the mattress, there was a smell that was a little bit rotten," Chantal said. Another police witness showed the Montreal courtroom photos of a skull found in a park a month after the killing. Jurors were also shown photographs of packages sent to 2 Vancouver elementary schools and to the offices of political parties in Ottawa and of individual exhibits of their contents, including an item labeled with a note, "Black garbage bag wrapped around foot." The 4 packages were mailed in May 2012. The packages that were sent to the schools contained pink tissue paper and the menacing notes on pink paper. One note included a poem. "Roses are red, violets are blue. The police will need dental records to identify you." The investigator said that the boxes that were sent to the political parties included one note that mentioned the name of Canadian Prime Minister Stephen Harper's wife. Montreal Police Commander Ian Lafreniere said that the body parts matched those of June Lin, whose foot was mailed to the Ottawa headquarters of the Conservative Party of Canada on May 29th. Later that day, a package containing a human hand was seized at the post office in Ottawa. The body parts sent to the Vancouver school were shipped to the Quebec Coroner's Forensic Lab to undergo DNA tests. A torso identified as that of Lin was found stuffed in a suitcase and dumped in the trash. "The state of the body is so bad, it was cut, it was dismembered," Lafreniere said. "This is a very hard case for us in terms of being extremely gross. We are still missing body parts." 6 months after uploading the sick videos, Eric filmed himself apparently eating the corpse with a knife and fork. He dumped the headless torso and a dead dog in bean bags outside his Montreal flat, and then he fled his homeland. Eric, however, even though he is in prison, he still gets to live his life. He even got married in prison. According to The Sun, after signing up to dating forum Canadian Inmates Connect in June 2015, Luka Magnotta, or Eric Newman, fell in love with Anthony Jolin, an armed robber who is serving life for stabbing another inmate to death in the shower. Now, honestly, I've heard this kind of things before with inmates and people being allowed to send them letters and them being allowed to create this kind of profiles. Why would they be allowed to do that? I don't get it. When they took someone else's life, why should they be allowed to find love again, to enjoy living, to, you know, all these kind of things? Because in the end, they took the life of their victim and that victim doesn't get to enjoy the life. So in my honest opinion, I might sound mean or I don't know, or insensitive, but why should they be allowed to have a life that they took from their victim? You know what I mean? Now, the pair, Eric and Anthony, got married on June 26, 2017 at the Port Cartier institution, according to TVA Nouvelles. On his dating profile, Eric, who was called the Canadian Psycho, described himself as a single white male who was seeking a single white male, 38 years of age, white and in shape. He added, one who is loyal, preferably educated, financially and emotionally stable for a long-term committed relationship. If you think you could be my Prince Charming, send me a detailed letter with at least 2 photos. A marriage license from the Palais de Justice de Celle, with Magnotta's mother Anna Yorkin listed as a witness, enabled the convicts to be legally wed or married at the Pont Cartier prison, where they are both serving time for murder. But Correctional Services Canada says there can be no consummation of the marriage, no honeymoon or cohabitation. In December 2014, as we already know, Eric was found guilty of murder after he was nailed by crucial evidence from the Sun. Now, before I move on, I just told you that there is no marriage allowed, no honeymoon allowed. I mean, no, they are not allowed to consummate their marriage. There is no honeymoon allowed, and there is no cohabitation allowed. And as I was telling you that, it just popped into my mind that I can kind of see like them killing each other in prison because they are married, but then they can't cohabitate, and I'm kind of seeing that perhaps one of them will cheat on the other with other inmates in the same prison, and then the other one will be furious and enraged, and they will end up killing each other, or one killing the other. I don't know, it's just weird. I don't know, I just got this weird feeling when I was mentioning this no cohabitation thing, because his husband was in prison for murdering someone, right? Eric is in prison as well for murdering someone, so they are both murderers. So, you know, in a lot of situations, I guess that murderers kill murderers, so I don't know. In December 2014, as we already know, Eric was found guilty of murder after he was nailed by crucial evidence from the Sun. Sun reporter Alex West played a key role in the trial, testifying as to how he confronted Eric at a hotel near Wembley Stadium in 2011 about sick internet videos of kittens being killed. That horrific act led Eric to be targeted by animal rights group. Quote, I looked into his eyes and did not like what I saw, wrote reporter Alex West. It wasn't just his appearance that was weird, his behavior was very odd as well. In a strange, high-pitched voice, he spent 20 minutes denying that he was involved in killing the kitten. 2 days later, the newspaper said it received an email stating, next time you hear from me, it will be in a movie I am producing that will have some humans in it, not just pussies. Once you kill and taste blood, it's impossible to stop. The email was signed with the name of a British killer, but West believes it was sent by Eric. The reporter said that he contacted Scotland Yard but was told it was out of their jurisdiction. After the verdicts came down, lawyer Daniel Urbas read out in court the following impact statement on behalf of Lynn's father, Diran Lynn. And I think it's very important that we all get to hear it because it's really, really powerful, and Lin Jun deserves this. Quote, I do not know who I'm supposed to be talking to, who will listen to this or read this, but I do need to say something. For me, for Lin Jun's mother, for Lin Jun's sister, my brave son, smart son, laughing son, caring son, adventurous son, handsome son, strong son, popular son, gone. And I will always miss you, Lin Jun. The night Lin Jun died, Parts of many other people died in one way or another. His mother, his sister, and me. His friends, Lin Feng. In one night, we lost a lifetime of hope, our futures, parts of our past. I have trouble thinking of other things, to concentrate. Lin Jun's mother is not right anymore, has not smiled or laughed much since May 2012, and will never work again. Lin Jun's sister has tried to take care of her mother, but she too is unable to work. It's sad. She has too much responsibilities now for someone so young. I hope one day she is better. My memories of Lin Jun do not stop at his youth, but now I see those memories through his death, how he died, how he must have suffered, how humiliating his death has become with a movie, post office packages, and only the accused story that it was not his fault and the fault of government agents. I know that the accused is not what Canada is about. Lin Jun loved China, but was also drawn to Canada, to live in Montreal in French. I have spent now more time in Canada and now know why my son wanted to live here. This knowledge hurts all the more to know what my son is missing by not being alive in your country. I am troubled by knowing what his plans were, to stay here and to start a business, to live here permanently, to enjoy your language, your opportunities, your fresh air. I live each day with regret that all I now see available here will never be his, that his name will only be associated with a horrible, degrading crime. It causes me fresh pain to know that my son's legacy is to be remembered as a victim. He not only suffered in his murder, but will be humiliated for each time his name is mentioned, and it hurts me deeply and will hurt me forever. It hurts me to know that my last words to him were, "Be careful, son." I feel bad that I was not there to warn him that night. I will never see his smiling face on video chat or hear about his new accomplishments or hear his laugh. Lin Jun's birthday is on December 30th, and he will never be there for his birthday or ours. In traditional Chinese culture, your child grows up to take care of you when you get old. A Chinese parent has a saying, "Having a child takes care of old age," or "Raising a child prevents loneliness in old age." He will not be there for me and Lin Jun's mother in our old age. I turned 60 years old at the start of the trial, and so did Lin Jun's mother a few days later. We have only misery as a gift and feel pain for his little sister, Mei Mei. I thought I would be able to retire and enjoy my son being there for me, with me, to let me feel I have been a good father. His chair is empty at my home. His phone never answers. All gone. I have no ability or desire to want anything else. I am told that the accused will receive the maximum under Canadian judicial system for one of his crimes. I appreciate the result. I am told that a prisoner in Canada is given time to reflect on his crime, to live with the bad memories, to perhaps feel regret, to be cut off from family, to be limited in their movements. In that understanding, I think that his future sounds like mine. Lin Jun's mother and Lin Jun's sister. We are cut off from our son and given the rest of our lives to think. We reflect on that crime. We feel regret. We have no desire to go anywhere or see people. I am also told that for the next years a prisoner will be housed, his bed provided, his food prepared, doctors made available, and psychiatrists to listen to him and give him medication when he tells them that he feels bad. No one will house us, feed us, or provide doctors. Lin Jun will never be there for us. We do not want to tell our story because it is too sad to repeat. We cannot talk much about Lin Jun without talking about his murder. The murder has robbed us not only of Lin Jun, but our ability to think and talk about him without feeling pain and shame. I had come to see your trial system to see justice done, and I live satisfied that you have not let my son down. I had come to learn what happened to my son that night, and I live without a true or a complete answer. I had come to see remorse, to hear some form of apology, and I live without anything. Lynn Duran. This is a truly despicable, horrendous crime, and I can't even wrap my mind around this. I mean, when I decided to cover this case, I had absolutely no idea about the details of it, but seriously, this is beyond disturbing. And of course, I'm trying to analyze Eric's behavior, and I'm trying to figure out why he did what he did in the way that he did it. And it's honestly almost impossible to figure out a killer if you yourself are not one, if you get what I mean. But I think that it all started with him being bullied at school at the same time as him being abused at home. His father was diagnosed schizophrenic, his parents then divorced, he got diagnosed schizophrenic in his teen years as well. Then we also have the borderline personality disorder, the histrionic one, the narcissistic traits, and the paraphilia. You can kind of see that all these things add up and gradually change the behavior, and at one point it just explodes. And we all know that when you start hurting animals and killing animals on purpose, this is a huge red flag, because killers get off on killing animals for the thrill of it. But at one point, this is just not enough. It doesn't satisfy their thirst anymore. So, in an attempt to satisfy it, they up their game and they kill a human. This is exactly what Eric did. But on top of that, he also wanted to be famous. He was craving attention and he dreamed himself as a celebrity. And he accomplished that. For him, negative attention didn't really matter. What mattered was that his name and his face was plastered all over the place. And he got off on this as well. Remember how he got caught in Berlin in a cyber cafe checking himself out in the media? He got off on it, and it was almost like he was challenging the police to find him. He left his address and name in one of the bags. If a killer doesn't want to get caught, they don't leave these details. He knew that he will be found, but in my opinion, I think that he loved the chase, the adrenaline, the excitement that this brought him. That's what I think. And yes, not everybody, I'm going to say this again, not everyone who is bullied and abused as a child turns out to be a killer. Not everyone who is schizophrenic is a killer, and not everyone who has mental disorders is a killer. And I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is that in Eric's case, you can kind of tell the escalation over years and kind of how his mind got as twisted as it got. A criminal profiler actually told Yahoo News that Eric did all of it for attention. And whilst I don't disagree with that criminal profiler, I don't think that he did it only for attention. I think that he did it for revenge as well, and to make a statement. Remember how he sent the body parts to elementary schools? This is highly unusual, and of course it will give you attention, right? But we need to remember that Eric was bullied in school. So I think that he sent the body parts at schools for revenge because he was bullied. He didn't take it on his own bullies, but rather on an entire school, because I think that in his eyes, all kids in every school were to be blamed for his bullying. He wanted to make a statement. He sent the body parts to the parliament, the Conservative Party, for attention, of course, but I also think that it was for a different reason as well. Before I tell you the other reason I think he did it, I'll get a bit into some details about the Conservative Party very quickly, just so you can get an understanding. Historically, Conservative MPs have been divided on the issue of same-sex marriage in Canada, with individuals in the party arguing for and against. During debates on Bill C-38 in 2004, which would redefine the legal definition of marriage in Canada, a majority of Conservative MPs voted against when the then leader Stephen Harper allowed a free vote. Under Harper's premiership, the party proposed reopening the debate into same-sex marriage, but following a defeat of the motion in the House of Commons, stated it would not seek to reopen it. In 2016, the Conservatives amended the party constitution to recognize and support same-sex marriage. So, if you remember, one of the body parts sent was for Stephen Harper, right? Who was the leader at that time for the Conservative Party. More specifically, it was for Harper's wife. Laureen Harper, his wife, was an active supporter and campaigner for animal welfare organizations, such as the Ottawa Humane Society. On June 3, 2013, after Lin Jun's murder, Laureen and Ottawa City Councillor Ellen Hubley announced a new federal anti-bullying strategy to train approximately 2,400 teenagers across Canada in delivering peer education workshops and presentations against bullying to their fellow students. So I think that Eric sent the body parts to the Conservative Party to make a statement. Apart from the attention, of course. I believe that this had something to do with gay rights and how gays were perceived in the parliament, you know, with the same-sex marriage and not being able to donate blood and so on. At the time, same-sex marriage was not permitted, and as I just mentioned, conservative MPs voted against it. Eric was not only bullied at school for his appearance, but he was also bullied for being gay. And so he targeted the schools, and so he targeted the parliament as well. Stephen Harper's wife Laureen was an animal activist. Eric killed cats, and a dead dog was also found in one of the trash bags with the body parts. Animal rights groups were hunting him, trying to draw him out. I think that he wanted to target these people and the schools specifically. He didn't just pick them at random. Apart from the attention, there was something personal as well, in my opinion. And then Laureen Harper in 2013 announced the anti-bullying strategy, as if to fight bullying that Eric went through as well in school. Kind of like bringing awareness of bullying in school and how that can affect you through adulthood. Of course that I am not going to justify, like I said, Eric's horrific actions, because there is absolutely no way that this can be justified. There are so many people who have been bullied in school and they don't go to kill others, dismember them and then eat them, literally eat them. I also found it very interesting that the jury found him guilty. I really believed that they will go for the diminished responsibility, but I am really pleased that they did find him guilty and he is paying for what he did. Quite honestly, it's obvious by now that he planned to kill Lin Jun. The taunting email that he sent the Sun reporter, the suspense that he built on Best Gore before committing the murder, it was all planned out, and he was in the right frame of mind to plan it. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Please let me know what do you think about this case in the comment section down below. And for now, I will end today's video. Take care, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!